Sonia, welcome to Inbound. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. It's been great chatting with you beforehand, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the events. We're kind of tackling it at 9 a.m., so we're getting started pretty early today, which is great.
It's great. I've been up since 4 a.m.
Oh my God,
So,
okay.
yes, I'm still on East Coast time.
The jet lag is kicking, I see.
Yeah.
So let's get started here. So I wanted to know just first a little bit of background on your career, and I feel like you're really under this branding of inclusive marketing. So can you just explain to me what that means to you as well?
Sure. So inclusive marketing really is all about acknowledging the many ways that people are different.
Mm-hmm.
And then from a brand perspective, choosing which customers you'll serve, and then incorporating those people throughout all areas of your marketing mix.
Uh-huh.
I got into inclusive marketing because I was a very frustrated consumer. I am someone with a lot of differences. I'm a Black woman. I'm left-handed. I follow a gluten-free diet. And there's just a number of things that cause me to interact with the world in a different way. I felt that most people.
Yeah.
And I wanted a better experience. So out of that frustration, I started talking about this, looking at ways for brands to really think about how they can deliver better customer experiences. And I'm not the only person who has a lot of differences. There's a lot of people who've got a lot of differences for a lot of reasons. And as I continued going along in my life, my personal life, I was living in Argentina. So I was living outside the country. My husband is a new immigrant now to the US. He's from Argentina. We have this mixed race bilingual child. So every day, whenever I leave the house, right? Or even whenever I'm still in the house shopping for something online, the differences that we have as a family, me personally, individually, and then just hearing about it from other people make me think about so much of the way brands are normally operating, or we've operated for years and years, doesn't work necessarily for today's consumer. So instead of just being frustrated and griping about it, I figured I could put my marketing experience and expertise to work and start evangelizing more about inclusive marketing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great decision to make, and I honestly see why it comes so naturally to you, because it's something that you face every day, and it's important to take that head on. So I wanted to know, you did mention brands and some companies, because I feel like looking at a lot of brands, they tend to do these marketing campaigns that maybe read as a little more performative than they are actual inclusive marketing. What to you is the difference between a campaign or something that is very performative, diverse marketing versus something that's actually inclusive marketing?
Ideally, any brand that wants to be more inclusive would build an inclusive brand. To make it even clearer, inclusive marketing is just good marketing, right? And a lot of times brands will say, okay, well, let's create this campaign for the Black community, or that's going to target them, or let's create this campaign for a specific type of identity,
type of person, audience,
right? And that can work well every now and then. But whenever a consumer is evaluating whether or not a brand is inclusive or not, or if it's for them, they're thinking about it much more holistically. So they're thinking about the entire customer experience. So if you watch a campaign or an ad that's targeted for your identity, and then you go to the brand's website and it's not the same type of experience, it didn't work so well. So the important thing to remember is that how can we include inclusion into everything that you do as a brand, so that you just have more of an inclusive mindset, an inclusive way of operating and being? Then it won't feel like we've got to make this campaign work. Someone will feel like they're seen, supported, like they belong throughout any place of their customer journey as they're interacting with you.
That's smart. I've never really seen it that way, about taking a consumer, right? They see this ad that they think is your brand identity, but they either purchase the product or they go onto the website and they see, okay, it's not actually for me.
Right.
It's for all these people, and I just happen to be one of the people that they got to come here.
Right.
So in order to do that, I guess you have to really build a holistic brand that serves people at every kind of point, right?
You do. And that's why, going back, whenever I was talking about the definition of inclusive marketing, it's important to specifically choose which identities you want to serve, so that you can be incorporating those identities in the thinking that you're going throughout. So I mentioned that my husband is from Argentina. He's a Spanish speaker.
Yeah.
And the amount of times that like we might see something in Spanish and then we get to the website and it's not, or you call the call center.
And it's all English.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not a good experience and that continuity is there. So if you know we want to reach Spanish speakers or French speakers or whatever, you have to think about all of those things in advance. So any place somebody is coming through, you have an understanding and you're equipped to serve them so they feel not like an afterthought. Because I think that's part of the issue for a lot of people who aren't, quite in part of this quote unquote mainstream is brands will think about how to serve them, but it feels like they just tacked it on at the last minute.
Right. It's like we have this whole campaign. What are we doing for the Hispanic community?
Right.
Let's put that in there.
Yes.
I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah.
And so it just feels like, how do we like cross off these different things in a checklist at the very end? And it's much harder to make something feel authentic if you're doing it after you've done all your planning. To just kind of like, how can we make sure this is okay?
Right.
Versus you intended from the beginning.
Right. You build it with that in mind.
Yeah.
Right. You plant the seed with that in mind.
Right.
You talk about something else about human connectivity and like understanding people more so. Of course, I got to ask about AI, right? We're in kind of an AI marketing boom currently. A lot of marketers are using it in various different ways.
Yeah.
Where do you think inclusive marketing falls into the AI conversation? And do you think it's a great conduit for that human touch going forward?
I feel like, for one, it's been tremendous help for brands in terms of their ability to connect with different people in different parts of the world from a language perspective. That's like an easy one.
Yeah.
Another area where it can be beneficial if we think about using it to help, I spend a lot of time helping brands identify whether or not what they've produced is inclusive for the audiences that they've created. So like reviewing their materials, whether it's something they already produced or helping them create it from the beginning. If they're using AI to help them brainstorm headlines, create content, we know that even though AI does have some bias built into it, you can give it sufficient prompts to help you identify, is there something in this ad that might be offensive for these type of people?
Getting that third opinion on things, right?
Right. And so if you say, hey, will this ad work for people who are 50 and up? Well, the content that I've written here, is it ableist, right?
Sure.
It can help you identify those different aspects or help you create something in advance that doesn't have those elements in it.
There are a lot of ads that I'm thinking of going through my brain right now that I'm like, maybe if they were able to check that with somebody else, it wouldn't have turned out so bad. Like you, or like, even like a ChatGPT at the time would have been nice.
So it's super helpful as long as you are able to train it on what it should be looking for and what you don't want it to include. It can be very helpful.
Look, I'm going to be straight with you. Everybody's talking about AI, but most people are just playing around with ChatGPT instead of actually making money from it. That's why we dropped the ultimate crash course to create your own AI side hustle in 7 days. We're talking real frameworks and strategies from the pros, like the founder of The Hustle, Sam Parr. It includes mini guides, templates, the whole 9 yards, stuff that takes years to figure out, condensed into 1 week. Stop what you're doing right now and grab it in the show notes. Your future self will thank you.
I think this idea of inclusive marketing is awesome. And I definitely wanted to ask a pointed question about it. When you look at it, how does a company or a brand appeal to everyone at the same time? You probably have to make some decisions to appeal to a specific market and perhaps grow from there.
I think a lot of people, whenever they hear inclusive marketing, they think that that means that they have to serve everyone, and that's not the case at all. Most brands can't do that.
Sure.
Right? There's not enough resources, etc. But the common misconception is if you're choosing specific identities, we want to make people from the disability community feel like they belong, or we want people from the LGBTQ plus community feel like they belong. That doesn't mean that no one else is welcome.
Sure.
Right?
Right.
So if people are thinking about how they can welcome certain identities in, It's more about adjusting the experience, or sometimes it's the campaigns in subtle ways in a lot of instances that will make it so those people see, this is something that applies for me. Everyone else is still welcome. They might not notice it. They might not care.
Just leaving that door open.
Right.
Right.
For instance, like I mentioned, I follow a gluten-free diet. On a menu, the entire menu doesn't need to be gluten-free, but if you put like 3 things on there,
suddenly it's game time, right? You feel like you're welcome.
Yeah. So it's just those thinking in advance about how can you make sure certain people feel seen. It goes a long way. And then you don't have to have this pressure of, we have to serve everyone. It's just, how can we kind of leave those breadcrumbs that leads certain people right to you?
And last thing I wanted to ask about this, is there any brands that maybe you've worked with or ones that you've seen that you feel is doing a good job of this right now?
I think that technology brands do a good job because they infuse inclusion into their product from the standpoint of people who are in different markets and different languages. So they are able to have people change whatever it is, whether it's their phone, their car, their camera, in whatever language that they need it to be. And instructions are available in different language, support is available. If we think about maybe in-person brands like retail or something like that, one of the examples that I really appreciate is from Walmart and how they've introduced sensory-friendly hours from 8 to 10 every morning for people with sensory processing disorder, which a lot of people who are on the neurodivergent spectrum have that. So it's nice that they're acknowledging that people are different in that way. I really love what HubSpot does on a number of fronts, whether it's just thinking about inbound, since we're here at this inbound conference, thinking about people with dietary restrictions, how everything is labeled, how they're from the accessibility standpoint, how that's taken care of so people are able to follow along. So there are a lot of examples that I would say from specific communities, from a lot of different brands and their approach to it, that really makes it to where people know that this is for them. I've seen that some hotels who have acknowledged that they are LGBTQ plus friendly or women friendly. So if you have solo travelers, people know that safety might be an issue.
It's important.
Or for certain communities, you know, their identity might not be something that they feel safe and they need to know in advance that it's going to work out. So there's a lot of different examples from different communities that where brands are really doing a great job of welcoming them in.
It really sounds like it's in the details. Like it's something that it's the small touches, I feel like, that matter the most to consumers. And that seems to stand out a lot.
It is. An example I like to use is, imagine that you're planning a dinner party, right? And you are going to be inviting a very diverse group of attendees. As a host, it would be great to know who is coming so that you're able to prepare the things that they most need, whether it's the seating chart, whether it's the food, whether it's the ambiance, whether it's the flowers. You're able to make those details just right so that people feel welcome and they want to come back to your party versus like, I'm never going back there again.
I think that's a great way to sum it all up. And Sonia, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great to hear from you, and enjoy the rest of your inbound experience.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you for being here. Okay, that's going to do it for us today, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of Hubspot Media. Our editor is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clarke. We've got a ton more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go sign up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at thehustledaily. We'll catch you later.